तो दोस्तों नमस्कार, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल और वणिकम। माई सेल्फ कमल कुमार। जैसा कि मैंने पिछले वीडियो में मेरे नाना द्वारा लिखा गया बुक द अंडमान आइलैंड्स एंड द जापानीज ऑक्यूपेशन के प्रीफेस, इंट्रोडक्शन बाय द ऑथर और बुक के पहले चैप्टर यानी द अंडमान ऑन द ईव ऑफ द जापानीज ऑक्यूपेशन के बारे में बताया था। आज हम यहाँ दूसरे चैप्टर के बारे में बात करेंगे। अगर वीडियो आपको अच्छा लगे तो लाइक, शेयर, कमेंट्स और सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें। जापानीज ने यहाँ पर 23 मार्च 1942 से लेकर 12 अक्टूबर 1945 तक राज किया था। एक ही रिकॉर्ड जापानीज ऑक्यूपेशन का अवेलेबल है, वो अब मेरे नाना लेट रामाकृष्णा द्वारा लिखा गया ये बुक द अंडमान आइलैंड्स अंडर जापानीज ऑक्यूपेशन। सुभाष चंद्र बोस ने 30 दिसंबर 1943 को यहाँ पर तिरंगा जिमखाना मैदान में फहराया था। इसका मतलब है कि हमने आज़ादी 15 अगस्त 1947 के पहले पा लिया। मेरे नाना जी ने सीवियर ब्रिटिश पीनल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, जापानीज ऑक्यूपेशन, उसके बाद फिर से ब्रिटिश एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन और अंत में 1947 के बाद का समय अपनी आंखों से देखा था। इंडियन इंडिपेंडेंस लीग विच वॉज फाउंड बाय सुभाष चंद्र बोस, उसके वे चेयरमैन थे। जापानीज ऑक्यूपेशन के समय वह डिप्टी कमिश्नर के पोस्ट में आसीन थे तथा समाचार पत्रिका द अंडमान शिम्बम के एडिटर थे। उनका जन्म 1896 को हुआ था तथा डेथ 29 अप्रैल 1970 को हुआ था। जैसे कि आप जानते हैं कि गत 10 से 15 वर्षों में अंडमान एंड निकोबार आइलैंड्स एक मेन टूरिस्ट स्पॉट के बारे में उभरा है और स्वराज द्वीप बीच एक मेन टूरिस्ट डेस्टिनेशन दैट इज़ वन ऑफ द टॉप मोस्ट बीचेस में इसकी गणना की जाती है। इसलिए यहाँ पर आने वाले टूरिस्ट की जिज्ञासा यहाँ के हिस्ट्री को जानने के बारे में अक्सर रहती है। तो आइए आज हम सेकंड चैप्टर द जापानीज ऑक्यूपेशन के बारे में बात करते हैं। The fleet, which was seen by some villagers hovering along the east coast of the Port Blair in the early part of the night of the 22nd March 1942, started landing troops on the morning of the 23rd March. One column landed at Rangachang and took the route to Pratrapur and Garacharma. Finding no opposition throughout their march, they came to Aberdeen. Another column at the same time landed at Karmiskop and took the route to School Line and Lumber Line. The column, also finding no opposition on the way, came to Aberdeen. The third column landed at Aberdeen Jetty and divided itself into 3 groups. The main group headed towards Aberdeen Bazaar, leaving sentries at interval of 100 yards in the bazaar as it went along. All Englishmen had been ordered by the Chief Commissioner beforehand to assemble at his residence at Aberdeen, where he had shifted in the end of the 1941, vacating the government house at Ross Island. All military policemen at the headquarters donned arms at the sight of the landing forces. Messages were sent to the outposts of the police to surrender them when the Japanese reached them. This column took possession of all arms of the police and all the Englishmen as prisoners of war. Sentries were posted at the various places and the rest of the soldiers made the military police barrack their headquarters. The second group from this column headed for South Point, the headquarters of the telegraph office. As the Japanese approached the precinct of the office, the telegraph master, in the conformity with a pre-arranged plan, blew it up with a mine which had already been planted there for this eventuality. The telegraphists, who were all Anglo-Indians, were taken into custody and the group returned to Aberdeen to join their main column. The third group from this column, headed for the jail, opened its gate and ordered all convicts to go where they liked, as they were no longer the convicts of the Japanese government. Same group then proceeded to Phoenix Bay and took charges of the marine dockyard with its workshop and sea craft. Having placed sentries at all the key points, the group joined their main column at Aberdeen. The fourth column took the sea route to Chatham first. Chatham had the sawmill and a good stock of timber is there. One group from this column took charge of the mill. The pre-arranged plan of the British was to blow up this also like the telegraph office, but the wire connecting the fuse of the mine implanted here was tampered with by someone who thought that the crippling of the mill would throw about 1,000 or so people out of the employment both in the mill itself and in the extraction camp which fed the mill. So the mill remained intact, and the effort of all those who went one after another to press the button to blow it up were in vain. The cause of the failure of the fuse to blow up remained a mystery, then to be cleared up later by one of the actors of the drama to gain favor of the Japanese on the one hand and of the workers who were employed to run the mill on the other hand. The same column then proceeded to the Dundas Point and took charge of the stores. It may be mentioned in passing out on account of the difficulty experienced during the World War I in obtaining essential supplies from the mainland of India and Burma. The administration had taken good care before this war to stock sufficient quantity of consumer goods. The administration stocked these materials in various places for fear of air raids and naval bombardment. The Japanese got everything intact except petrol, which was set fire to at the time of the final evacuation. The occupation was completed within 12 hours of the landing without firing a shot, and excepting those on sentry duty, the entire force, some 25,000 strong, assembled at Aberdeen. Some 20,000 strong remained in the Japanese fleet outside Port Blair Harbor waiting for eventualities. The landing force consisted of both Army and Navy personnel. The Navy struck its headquarters at the Aberdeen and the Army at Haddo after the Englishmen and Anglo-Indians were taken into custody and confined to Ross Island, from where there was no fear of their escapes. The men of the Army and Navy were ordered rest. The lawlessness then began. The general public did not have sufficient time to realize what the change meant. Soldiers, both from the Army and the Navy, wandered all over the place, picking up what they fancied. Thus, fowls were caught and carried, while the owners were looking on. Shops in the Aberdeen Bazaar were depleted of whatever materials the soldiers and sailors fancied. The shopkeepers gave what the soldiers wanted by sings. If one said something, the other also said something. Both did not understand each other. Things went on this manner for over 3 or 4 hours in the headquarters area on the second day of the landing, when an incident happened. A warrant officer of the Navy with his men was rounding a flock of fowls when the youngster Zulfikar Ali fired his gun. The shot grazed the cheek of the warrant officer, but he made good his escape, only to come back with 1,000 men and officers firing their rifles all over. Finally, someone showed them the house of the youngster who had actually fired the gun. The Japanese set fire to his house, and the fire that started from his house burned some 2 scores of houses before it was brought under control. The youngster escaped arrest that day, but he was traced the following morning when he was hurriedly tried by a court-martial and publicly shot. जैसा कि आप जानते हैं कि गत 10 से 15 वर्षों में अंडमान तथा निकोबार आइलैंड एक मेन टूरिस्ट स्पॉट के रूप में इमर्ज हुआ है, और स्वराज द्वीप का बीच वर्ल्ड के टॉप मोस्ट बीचेस में जाना जाता है। इसलिए यहाँ पर आने वाले टूरिस्ट की जिज्ञासा यहाँ के हिस्ट्री के बारे में जानने की अक्सर रहती है। अगर इतिहास में देखा जाए तो अंडमान का उल्लेख रामायण में मिलता है। जब हनुमान सीता माता को बचाने वक्त श्रीलंका गए थे, उस समय इन द्वीपों का उपयोग सोपान की तरह किया। मलय लोगों ने इन्हें अंडमान कहा और अंडमान इसी शब्द का रूप है। तो दोस्तों, अब ये सेकंड टॉपिक यहीं पर ख़त्म होता है। अगर आपको ये वीडियो इंटरेस्टिंग लगे तो शेयर, सब्सक्राइब, लाइक और कमेंट्स करना ना भूलें। डू फॉलो मी फॉर द नेक्स्ट चैप्टर। थैंक यू।